Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Every day there are countless books and articles that are published offering the key on how to make your business a success. It's easy to feel overwhelmed trying to keep up and run your business. That's why Deb Creer created the Business Power Hour. Keep up on the latest trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. Let the Business Power Hour do the heavy work for you.
Good morning, good morning. I am Deb Creer, and I am passionate about giving professionals the tools that they need to make themselves and their businesses as successful as possible. And I am so excited today. I know I say that every time, but this is the first program of the year for 2020. Anybody else hear Barbara Walters' voice every time we say that? But it is 2020. It's the first program of the year, and it's one of my most favorite people in the world. Can't ask for a better program. So please join me in welcoming the ever popular, the extremely knowledgeable, the best dude in the world, Brian Basilico, to our program today.
Who are you having on?
I know. Just nod a lot. Oh, except we're on podcast. That won't work. You have to speak. So clearly, Brian and I like each other. So we're going to have a lot of fun with this. I am in a mastermind group that Brian manages. I love it. It's a great group. Can't say enough about mastermind groups in general, but Brian's is definitely one that is spectacular. But, even though we've had Brian on several times and we like to think he's world-renowned, I probably should read his bio. So let me tell folks just a little bit about you, Brian, before we jump into this.
Sure enough.
So Brian Basilico is an award-winning author of the best-selling book, hold it up please, It's Not About You, It's About Bacon, Relationship Marketing in a Social Media World. He was honored as one of the top marketers to follow in 2018. Brian is an online marketing strategist who brings over 40 years of marketing experience to his award-winning internet marketing company, B2B Interactive Marketing, Inc. Brian was one of the first 1,000 people on LinkedIn way back in 2004 and is a syndicated blogger, podcaster, and sought-after guest expert featured in Entrepreneur and Inc. magazines. His show, The Bacon Podcast, on iTunes was also voted one of Inc. magazine's top 35 business podcasts. So again, Brian, welcome.
Well, Deb, happy New Year to you and happy 2020 and all that kind of fun stuff.
All these changes, all of these various things, and obviously you are a marketing expert, an online marketing expert. And so let's just really jump into this because we talked about this in our mastermind call earlier this week. And that's what the heck is going to happen with Facebook. We've all, if we aren't already doing it, we've been told you must promote your business on Facebook. And I say that in the voice because, it's the wisdom from on high. But it really is a platform that we've used a lot. But has it outlived its usefulness? What the heck? So what do you think about Facebook and where are we going this year with it?
Well, I think part of let's kind of step back because I want to jump into that, but I also want to lay a little foundational stuff. Those, not everybody has heard all of our shows. So if you run a business, one of the biggest things, I know you preach this, I preach this, you need to own your space, all right? Which means that if you're going to market your business, you need to have a home base to market from. Right. A lot of people say, I don't need that. I can use ClickFunnels. I can use Facebook. I can use LinkedIn. I can use all these other tools. But herein lies the problem. There are one of two places. They're either places that you pay for, which means like ClickFunnels, which is, I don't know what it is. It used to be $99 a month. I haven't done it in a while, but still it's $100 a month to do ClickFunnels, which is kind of a website, but kind of not. And then you've got Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok and whatever the biggest thing is this year. Those are generally all free. Right. So here lies the problem. When you stop paying ClickFunnels, all of your content, all of everything you have goes away. And there's no way to take that and back it up and use it again. Because it's all on a particular platform that only works on ClickFunnels.
Mhm.
where if you do something in WordPress,
Mhm.
that's something that you can actually make a copy of and move it to another
Mhm.
web server so that you can port or you can basically port it other places
Right.
just in case, your host goes
Mhm.
down, your domain crashes. I mean, any of those kind of things, you have a way of working it. When we take a look at the social media side of things, there's this one graphic that I put up a lot when I'm giving presentations, and it's two pigs in a barn. And the one pig says, "Hey, isn't this place great, man? They feed us for nothing." The other one says, "Yeah, we get to stay for free." And at the bottom it says, "Facebook, if you're not paying for it, you are the product being sold,"
Mhm.
right? So what's happened over the course of the years, and I'm working on a new book this year. It doesn't have a title, but I am actually starting to, kind of get it together. I've got a handful of titles I've been working on. Something like Wide Net, Small Fish, H2H, which stands for human to human. But basically what it's about is it's how I think 2020 is actually going to be a year we have to get back to more basics.
Mhm.
And I think now we can get to the Facebook side of things. And the Facebook side of things is this. When Facebook first started, everybody jumped on because they wanted to talk to their friends. I mean, my high school and college kids were telling me, "Have you heard of the Book of Face?" And it's like,
Right.
"No, I've heard of the Space of My."
Mhm.
And it's like, "No, but the Book of Face is where college kids get together." That's how it all works. And then so I jumped on Facebook. I think it was like 2006, 8, something like that.
Mhm.
Because they prompted me, and I jumped on, and it's like, "Hey, all your friends are here." The first day I was on, I forgot to mute my phone.
Oh,
I was at
no. And it went kaping, kaping, kaping,
Oh
kaping,
yeah,
kaping.
and I was at a band rehearsal at church, and all of a sudden my phone is just like, I'm like, "Dude, your butt's moving," because
Right.
it's
And they were all asking you to play Farmville.
exactly
I think the first message I ever got on Facebook, somebody was asking me for a machine gun. And I'm like, what have I gotten myself involved
right.
in?
Yeah, but that was it. I mean, everybody was jumping on board and
Mhm.
joining and friending everybody,
Mhm.
and you get friend requests, and you never turn anybody down. It's
Right.
like,
What do you
the
mean I
first
don't know them?
right first day I had 100 friends, and it
Mhm.
was like, wow, 100 friends. I
Mhm.
don't know if I have 100 friends.
Mhm.
Uh, in actuality, there's a thing that I learned when I was teaching a college course via Skype, and one of the kids asked me, "What do you think of Dunbar's number?" And I said, "I don't know. Let me look that up. I have to go to the Google machine." So I looked
Mhm.
it up. And what Dunbar's number stands for is he's actually an anthropologist. And he talks about how the average human being can maintain about 150 relationships.
Mhm.
And that's very true when it
Right.
comes to a tribal nature.
Mhm.
In other words, that was there, your town or your tribe or things, that was a one-on-one relationship.
Mhm.
And social media, I mean, I don't know about you, I got 3,000 followers on this
Mhm.
platform, 6,000 on this one, 10,000 on that. You're not maintaining relationships, you're
Right.
having connections with
Mhm.
these people.
And
So
and most of those are pretty shaky at best.
at best, right? Yeah, at best. And so, what it was is everybody felt like, they were playing Pokemon. It's like
Mhm.
collect as many friends as you can, and when you hit the 500 mark, all of a sudden you win a prize. You don't win
Mhm.
anything, of course. And so that was the initial thing with Facebook. And then they said, "Hey, we've got this new thing. It's called business pages. Get your business up there.
Right.
Put your
You don't need a website.
Right. You just go up there and put up your business page, and you can share with the world on Facebook about your business." And everybody did it, right?
And
It was
it's
free.
free. It's
Right.
free. Mhm.
It's free. And you put it up there and you post something, and lo and behold, people would call you, and you'd get, "Wow, this is amazing. It's like I get to put this up there and there's a huge audience and they're seeing my stuff." And then all of a sudden, slowly but surely, they started to tighten the belt and
Mhm.
bring it down a little bit. And it went from maybe 20% of your friends to seeing it, to 10% of your friends seeing it, to 2% of your friends seeing it, now 0.05%.
Right. Because
Okay.
then they said,
Hey, right. Hey, I love that. I love it. So if you want your friends and the people to see this, all you got to do is boost
mhm.
posts.
And it's not much. It's not going to cost you much.
No, it's $5.
Mhm.
$5, and all of a sudden you can boost, and it will be seen by 2,000 people, right?
Yes.
So
Mhm.
you boost it. Now here in lies the problem. Boosting a post is basically turning it into a black hole.
Mhm.
And what do I mean by black hole? What I mean is you boost a post, it gets seen by people, and the only action they can take, unless you decide to dig deeper and go into the full ad mode, is it'll take them back to like your page.
Mm-hmm.
So all you're doing is getting more people to like your page who won't see it because only 0.6%
Right.
of the people see it. So then you have to boost a post in order to get those people to see it. And they may see it and they may not see it, and more people may like it, but you're constantly into this black hole of getting people into likes where they're not taking any action. And you know, and that a lot of people think that just having a page and boosting it is enough, and getting likes is enough to get somebody to actually hand you money and create business, and it doesn't work that way. So that's, you know, that's kind of the, what I call the renaissance of where, you know, Facebook and social media was.
Right.
Well, now here we are at the we've gone beyond the renaissance into the dark ages. Okay, and the dark ages, what this is now is, here we are sitting at 2020, and aside from the fact that, you know, this is a leap year, and it's an election year, and it's the beginning of a new decade, the middle one is probably the most important one, and it's not because we're all political people, but because one of the things that Mark Zuckerberg announced at a speech that he gave, I believe it was at Harvard or something like that. But it was at a college, and he was talking about this. And he said, in the middle of the speech, he said, I don't think you want your social media company determining what's true and what's not.
Right.
And you know what, you sit there on the surface, you go, you know, you're right. I don't want
I'm a reasonable adult. I should be able to make those decisions.
Right, exactly, which is absolutely true. But he wasn't talking about the ability to think and have free speech. What he was really talking about was the ability to advertise.
Right.
Okay. So the FEC I think it's the FEC or something like that. I work with a lot of medical companies out of Boston.
So lots of acronyms.
Yeah, the wicked had car, you know, they go pack their cab out of yard and stuff like that. But these guys from Boston, you cannot go on Google and post anything with any medical claims. All right. So you cannot go and say you will lose weight if you take this diet pill. That is against regulations. And on Facebook, you supposedly cannot do that. But there's a big difference between Google and Facebook. Google is an open system that anybody can access. Facebook is not an open system.
You have to be a member of Facebook.
Right. Right. Just like Twitter, just like LinkedIn. I mean, some people can see some tweets, they can't see everything. But the bottom line with that is, because it is a closed network, if somebody wants to go in and say, this pill will cure cancer. If somebody got wind, you know, the whole point is you can't anything directly inside of Facebook. I mean, you can, but the transactions are going.
They tried and it didn't work. I mean, that was one of those things that,
the transaction is going to have to jump ship. You know, it's going to have to go into the real world. So you can claim that this pill cures cancer, but the minute you go sell it outside of Facebook, now you're under FEC or SEC.
And that's where you've got to have your legal, you know,
mumbo jumbo. Right. Yeah. And that's essentially where, you know, you'll get nailed, and that's a lie. But inside of Facebook, you can say anything you want.
Right.
So you could say, you know, this pill will make you beautiful. It'll get you all the dates that you want. It'll do all these other things. Well, you could also go on Facebook as a political candidate and say, you know, that so-and-so was kidnapping kids and keeping them in the bottom of a pizza kitchen, you know, and that aliens are now taking over the inner workings of Blockbuster. So Blockbuster's coming back, but it'll all be aliens who are running Blockbuster, and they're going to reprogram your brain with these very, very detailed memories of who you used to be, so that you will now think that you're Zorg, the sun god of Neverthing. And you could go on, you know, with these like really weird kind of whatever you want to do, and you could advertise to that. You could pay to it all day long. You could lie through your eye teeth and pay for these things. What it does is two things. Number one, it's an echo chamber. If you believe in conspiracy theories and that conspiracy theory matches your belief pattern, You're going to say, look at this, and you're going to take it and you're
Right.
going to share it, right? That's one of the whole
With your
purpose.
other friends who believe in conspiracy theories.
Right, right. If you're a trutherism and you're one of those people that look at me, I've got a big T on my chest, I'm fighting for truth, and you're going to go out there and you're going to try to disprove those conspiracy theories. You'll go find something that matches your echo chamber and says, look, this says that is false. And the other people say, no, this is true. And they go head to head to head with each other all the time. And then that's one of the things that social media has done, is allows people to amplify whatever message they want. But what it also does is it creates doubt in what truth is.
Because then you are thinking, well, yeah, what is true? That sounds a little off, but because Brian said it, it must be true.
Right.
Maybe.
Exactly. Maybe. Right. Well, some people will say because Brian said it would be true, and the other people would say I'd never buy anything from Brian ever because the guy's a whack job. But so what it's doing is it's creating an atmosphere of basically, lack of trust, some false narratives, and basically it's a waste of time, people going down, the rabbit hole trying to figure out whether it's true or not. And, people are going to get bored with that. But here's the reality. If you're putting your business, into that mixer, okay, you've already got it into the blender, the blender's going, and you throw your business into that mixer, you're going to have to work 5 times as hard to prove your claims. That you know what you're talking about, that what you're selling is legit. That's not a scam,
Yeah. It's almost like there's an automatic assumption now that it can't be true. It can't be right. And it was funny, as you were talking about this, I had a flash of inspiration. I might have had my quota for the whole year now. So maybe, I don't know. It's like it now. If you would have been, or still are, I guess, an advertiser in the National Enquirer,
right?
Or something like that puts things out there, or the Onion. The Onion would be a great example because, every once in a while people believe the Onion's real. But, but when you're an advertiser, you've tied yourself to that. And so people automatically are thinking, well, wait a minute, can we believe it or not? It's just like if you hang, we've all heard, we're the sum of the 5 people we spend the most time with. Well, if you hang out with 5 people who aren't truthful, who, like to do, maybe smoke, drink, do whatever, even if you don't do that, you have tainted your own self with that brush. And that is, that's exactly what we're talking about with people now. We look at things we see on Facebook and go, really? Now, healthy skepticism is good. We should always, we should always think, is that going to cure my cat? Or whatever it is. But at the same point, if people are automatically going into it thinking there's something wrong, well, is that where you want to be doing business?
Right. Yeah. And going back to your example, which I think is a great example.
You may use that.
Thank you. I might repurpose it.
That's it. That's it.
But one of the things that happened before, and this dates back to, before the internet, so you'd go to the grocery store, and in line you would see, you'd have a magazine section in one section of the grocery store. And at the checkout, you would have the Globe and the Enquirer and, People magazine and things of that nature that you knew were basically, you knew which ones were the, fake news,
the
or
gossip rags, wasn't that what they,
yeah, gossip rags or whatever they are, I mean, the alien baby stuff that you just sit there and
Elvis is alive. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You kind of knew it was fun to read, but you also knew it didn't have any ounce of truth to it. And the other stuff, the newspapers, they were kind of separated. Well, now, because of the environment that we're in, it's really hard to tell where that line begins and ends. And so no longer, now you're going to have, whatever newspaper you like to read right next to the Enquirer, and both of them look and feel and smell the same. You can't tell. In this environment of news today, it's very different. So again, getting back to, the business side of things is, where do you want to place your information?
Right.
And how do you create trust by placing that information? That's the key.
Right. Because it's that whole know, like, trust, buy.
Right. Exactly. So that becomes the new challenge, I think, is that social media, even though I'm not anti-social media, you still will get some people that will act on it the right way and end up
Right.
back at your stuff. And know the people that know, like, and trust you, you still will get those people to probably click on things. But trying to attract new people to get to know, like, and trust you, the mountain has just gotten a little steeper, you know?
Right. Yeah, and we're definitely not saying no, don't use Facebook.
Right,
It's and I always tell people it is just another tool that you
right.
should be using for marketing. But and as I said, we talked about this earlier in our mastermind, this group, and one of the things that we talked about was the fact that for specific things, people may still very well go there. Maybe
Right.
it's a group. Our dog show group. We have a national beagle show every year. We have a specific group for Facebook
Hmm.
that that's where we give information. And of course, we're always referring people to the website. And because a lot of times you're taking reservations, all those various things, and it is static. I
Hmm.
don't have to try and look down through 500 Facebook posts to find, okay, now what day does this event happen on? And so that's a captured audience. And I certainly have some clients who have their captured audience.
Hmm.
But, in general, I think, and it comes back to what we were saying, people, here's the anecdotally thing, are getting tired of Facebook. I actually heard on the radio the other day that Facebook's growth, which has always just gone, has started to come down.
Hmm.
Now there are other platforms that are out there, but I think people really are getting tired of seeing, some of that. I mean, I saw a post this morning and I'm thinking, people, you can't believe that, can you?
Oh, yeah.
And of course, that's the other problem is sometimes they're just sharing. They're not saying, oh, I believe that, that Elvis is alive. They just thought, oh, this is a cool article, I'm going to share it. So they're not having that dialogue, and all of those various things. But
Hmm.
yeah, we look at it and go, ugh. And so when I've gone one too many times, Facebook goes off. So then it's not going to matter if
Right.
the business I like is advertising or any of those things. I'm going to something else. Now I
Hmm.
still might capture somebody there, but yeah, I mean, it's really going to be interesting, especially with things like Twitter saying, yes, we can filter that stuff out.
Hmm.
And Facebook saying, oh, that's kind of hard. We don't want to do that. And I want to be able to say what I want to say. I mean, that's the other thing too. Now, I never post anything that's controversial or anything like that, but I want to know I can. And
Right.
that is, of course, what Facebook is banking on, is people want that freedom to say what they want to say, as long as, it's not illegal. So it's not slander, libel, whichever one of those, but there, again, it comes back to they're not going to police it. You can click the little button that says fake news or whatever it is, and then they might investigate or they might not. But by then the damage is done.
Hmm.
2 people, 4 people, 4,000 have already seen it.
Right.
And so, if we are trending away from Facebook, now everybody's going, okay, we've been doing Facebook for years. Now what am I supposed to do?
Well, before we jump into the what's next, let's examine a couple of quick things and then we'll kind of dig further onto that. One of the things about the things that people share, we call it clickbait.
Hmm.
Okay. There are two major components to clickbait. One is a headline that emotionally,
Hmm.
resonates with you no
Right.
matter what it is. That is probably the most important thing. The second thing is, does the picture
Hmm.
match the emotion of the headline?
Hmm.
It's not the other way around. You don't have a picture and you write
Right.
a headline to the pictures. The headline should match the picture.
Hmm.
In other words, yeah, the headline is the most important thing because that's the thing that gets people to share. Now, herein lies the biggest problem.
Hmm.
Is most people when they click, let's just say, Deb Creer found the secret to making $20 million a day. All right. So you put that up there and I put a picture of you sitting next to a pile of money. All right.
Hmm.
So it matches. It just shows you,
Right.
making $20 million
Hmm.
a day. You click on that button and it ends up on an article for a pharmaceutical company's new drug that they
Mm-hmm.
just got that you can invest in and
Right.
do all these other things. Okay. That is so completely
Mm-hmm.
disingenuous to what the initial thing was, is like, I want to learn from Deb how to make $20 million, not I want to see Deb's face on something
Mm-hmm.
that's about investing in pharmaceuticals. And that's the way that a lot of this stuff works,
Mm-hmm.
is they tease you with a headline that means nothing about it.
Right.
One of the greatest tools at our fingertips is focus groups. I mean, we
Mm-hmm.
talk about this all the time, and I know if you've ever saw the movie Vice, it's
Mm-hmm.
it's a great movie with it's about Dick Cheney and
Mm-hmm.
those kind of things. But at the end of the movie, they're doing this focus group, and the focus group talks about they're talking about the difference between inheritance tax and death tax.
Mm-hmm.
And they showed how if we call it a death tax, people are going to hate it,
Oh, yeah. We don't want to
right?
die.
No, you don't want to pay
Mm-hmm.
taxes on dying. You pay taxes when you're living, and they're going to tax you when you're dead. We're going to call it a death tax.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, so there, it's basically taking something and either demonizing it or softening it up,
Mm-hmm.
and making it sound even better,
Right.
So it's like, it's a, it's a middle class tax cut,
Mm-hmm.
right? It does. So in other words, you are middle class, and
Right.
you
So you're going to have a tax cut.
right, you're going to have a tax cut.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they tell you, and again, I'm not trying to be political, but the middle class maybe gets a breadcrumb,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
a cut doesn't have to be gigantic.
right, and then the person, somebody else is getting the whole bag of cookies where
Mm-hmm.
you just get a crumb.
Mm-hmm.
So that's essentially what it boils down to. So it's this, spinning things and putting things in certain ways
Mm-hmm.
that, what it really boils down to, trust is really straightforward and simple. Trust has to be earned. It takes
Mm-hmm.
time, and all the clickbait and all the other stuff in the world
Mm-hmm.
is not going to work. So
And it
now,
can go just like that.
oh yeah, it can, and it can turn on you too,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, we've seen companies try it and it absolutely fail.
Mm-hmm.
Actually do more damage than good.
Mm-hmm.
So when you sit down and you start thinking about that, I mean, that's the tactics that people are starting to
Mm-hmm.
use for the quick attraction, the quick clicks, all those kind of things. Now we go into what other platforms can we use. The bottom line is, where is your clientele
Right.
hanging out?
Right.
That's all it boils down to. So
if they're still on Facebook, well, then that's where you need to be for now.
right. Yeah. So the key thing is, if you're on Facebook and like you said, you have groups, you have a
Mm-hmm.
business page, there's nothing wrong with boosting, ads to your business page,
Mm-hmm.
especially like if you're doing an event.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing
Right.
wrong with putting
Mm-hmm.
up an event and paying for
Mm-hmm.
advertising for that. There's nothing wrong with, if you're having a special sale or something and you have a physical location business, nothing wrong with that. Attracting people to use it. It still has, people are still
Mm-hmm.
on the platform.
Right.
The thing I'm trying to say is, make sure whatever you do, don't fall into these formulaic things. Make it straightforward and simple, and talk to people the way you would talk to people in real life.
Right.
As opposed to trying to create this alternative reality. And that's why I went through that big, gyration. Now, so Facebook, if you're dealing business to consumer, it is still the place to be.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in the B2B space, I'm a big fan of LinkedIn for numerous reasons. Number one, it truly is just a B2B platform.
Right.
The other thing that I found inside of LinkedIn, which is really important, if you're doing B2B, which is business to business, it could be that you sell, you could sell either toilet papers to consumers, or you could sell toilet papers to, large corporations where they buy in bulk. It's the same product, but it's still business to business. There's a difference in the mindset of people buying from a consumer standpoint and a business standpoint.
Right.
And the really simple thing is one is to basically to clean crap up. Okay. It's like, I need to solve a problem. I have this, blah, 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 blah. In a business world, it's more about, I want to avoid crap happening. In other words, don't get me fired.
Right.
That's really what it boils down to, is I need to fix a problem. Please don't get me fired. So, when you start looking at those two platforms, the B2B world, you can't take consumer stuff from Facebook and just immediately throw it. That's where a lot of people make a mistake, is they say, I'm just going to take what I do and it's working on Facebook. I'm going to bring it over to LinkedIn and there. And now all of a sudden you start to get people who are self-monitoring inside of LinkedIn. I had a friend who I was in the networking group, and he went in there and did a political post and
Oh, on LinkedIn?
on LinkedIn. And immediately people started dive bombing that
Hmm.
thing and just going, dude, this is not platform.
Right.
Don't do it.
Hmm.
Stop it.
Right.
He did it again.
Uh-oh.
Guess what?
Got reported. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. You
Because
know,
it's not the place.
right. And, and every once in a while, it does make sense. I've had people who've said, I was a volunteer for a campaign. Should
Hmm.
I put that in my bio? And
Right.
I tell them with caution,
Yes.
and I say, you do. I said, I'm a big proponent in putting volunteer work in
Oh
because
yeah.
that's a great way to show additional expenses or not expenses, knowledge and
Experience.
skills. But you just have to be careful because as we all know, there really is about 50 and 50.
Right.
It's going to go back and forth. But so if you have to be careful that, because you like these 50, but you
Right.
don't want to totally alienate these 50. So it's okay to say, I was the chief campaign manager for, whoever's candidate or campaign, but not go into detail. But, and but you're then, as you were saying, you're not going to be posting about it,
Right.
and it is tricky because, it is business, and I might, now, maybe I've got an event coming up featuring a candidate who's speaking. Okay. Maybe not. I mean, politics on LinkedIn is a very tricky thing. And that really comes back to what do you want to see?
Right.
And we definitely don't go on to LinkedIn to see stuff like that. Now, if it's, say a business association who's having a candidate forum,
Hmm.
that's different.
Right.
But, yeah, to just go on and do a pure political post or share a political article or something like that, it's touchy. And, and I'll be honest, in many cases, religion is the same,
Oh yeah,
and,
absolutely.
and it's more, I always think, well, there is a place for that. And hello, that's called Facebook.
Right.
Um, but, I just always, if you're, it's kind of the thing, if you're at a business event, would you
Hmm.
tell the person you're talking to whatever it is you're about to share on LinkedIn? Yeah or no? Mhm.
And some people are
Some
absolutely
people
yay.
would. Mhm.
Yeah, some people, I mean, I've been in groups where people have said, this is my, this is my belief system, and I
Mhm.
only want to work with people who are
Right.
in this belief system. And I said, I
Sure.
understand that.
Mhm.
But I had a conversation with a gentleman, and he says, I refuse to work with, and I'll just be straightforward. I mean,
Mhm.
he's a Christian guy, and he just said,
Mhm.
I am Christian. I'm only working with Christians. I refuse to
Right.
work with Muslims. I
Mhm.
refuse to work with Jews. I refuse to work with
Mhm.
these people. I
That's
refuse to
his
work.
personal preference.
That's perfectly fine, but I just left the conversations. I totally understand your point
Mhm.
of view.
Right.
I would just like to leave you
Mhm.
with one last perspective, and I just want you to understand that Jewish people, Muslim people, and Christian people all have the same God. We just have a different rule book.
Mhm. Right.
It's all the same God.
Mhm.
Muhammad and Abraham
Mhm.
and Jesus all
Mhm.
you know,
Right.
and then you kind of get this deer in the headlights look, and it's like, all right, but I'm still only working with
Yeah.
Christians. Like,
Okay.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, my company name is Wise Women Communications. I have had, I mean, I've had this company almost 25 years. I
Mhm.
have people ask, does that mean I'll only work with women? And I tell them, I'm sorry, a man's money is just as green.
Right.
It's just, and, but could I say I only want to work with women? Sure.
Yep.
And but that would be part of my marketing. And I've had guests on this program before who have very clearly said, I want to work with women entrepreneurs.
Mhm.
That's great. That is their niche. That's their market. So whether it's that, and what I tell them is be very clear
Mhm.
so that, you're not going to have any hurt feelings, any people claiming bias, any of that. Now, of course, it does get a little touchy if you're eliminating a religious group, an ethnicity, all
Right.
those various things. I mean, so yeah, I mean, it
Well, and
isn't marketing fun?
it's your business and your prerogative
Mhm.
on how you want to do things,
Right.
but you just never know.
Hmm. Oh
Who
yeah.
you're going to insult or
Hmm.
who you're going to,
Hmm.
negate doing business
Hmm.
with. And the reality is you can do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
That's the beauty of running your own business.
Right.
Now take that same mindset,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden, let's say your business is not working so well,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to go get that 4-letter word that
Mm-hmm.
really only has 3 letters. It's a
Mm-hmm.
job.
Mm-hmm.
And you
Eek.
take,
Mm-hmm.
and you take that mindset and you go work for
Mm-hmm.
somebody else and you try that stuff, you ain't gonna last long.
No, no. And or worse, maybe you've decided, well, okay, sure, I only worked with women in the past, but ooh, I guess I'm going to have to work with men. That comes back to exactly what we're saying, trust.
Yes.
And people are going to look at that and go, well, wait a minute. You've always said, that you would only work with women entrepreneurs, and now 90% of your clientele are men.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's, eh, can
Well,
I
it's
just
when
go work at McDonald's?
well, you can, yeah, as a matter of fact, and new laws, you might make $15 an hour now,
This is
depending on where
true.
you live.
Yeah.
So,
And get free French fries.
that's true. Yeah. And supposedly you get a free college education and become
Oh,
president. I don't know.
cool.
Yeah. All the advertising that they do,
I know.
so yeah, it's, marketing. Here's the thing I want people to think about. Marketing is really super, super simple.
Hmm.
It's
It
not, it does.
seems complicated, but it's not.
Well, we overcomplicate it
Yes.
because of BSOS,
Hmm.
which is bright, shiny object
Hmm.
syndrome. And it's like, and I've seen this over the course of the last, I would say probably the last 5 years,
Hmm.
2015 to 2020. There's been this barrage of things. The next best thing,
Hmm.
get on YouTube. And you see these all the
Hmm.
time on the internet marketing space,
Hmm.
is like YouTube riches, Instagram success stories.
Hmm.
It's like, how to make $1 million off of, text messaging and, yada, yada. It's all of these, little itty bitty tactics,
Hmm.
it's a tactic and how I made $1 million. And usually the only person that makes $1 million is the people selling the program, not the
Hmm.
people actually there,
Right.
because they missed something. So here's marketing 101. And this is why I love the B2B space more than I do the consumer space. The B2B space is super simple. You can do this in the consumer space, but it's a little harder.
Hmm.
And that is, if you can identify who your perfect customer is, and that's where it really starts, is who is your ideal customer. And I know my ideal customer because I have them.
Right.
I can sit here, his name is, Bill or Fred or whatever it is. And Bill and Fred work for a company that make X amount of dollars. They have this many salespeople. They have no marketing department. They have these needs, and this is what they want to accomplish, and this is how we can do it. I mean, I know
Hmm.
exactly who they are and what they look
Hmm.
like. So that's number one.
Right. And if you can't do that, folks, now is a great time to make a resolution that you're going to keep, and that's figure that out.
Right. Yeah. Once you can identify that, you can meld it a little to the left, a little to the right.
Hmm.
You can, there's going to be some differences in some of those clients. But once you have that down, then you could say, okay, what are the things that I can solve for them that they can't do for themselves? Or maybe even somebody else who does what I do can't do.
Hmm.
Because I mean, I see this all the time. Being in business, I've been in the marketing business, Deb, I'm going to date myself. I'm old.
No, you started when you were just a wee little pup.
I started at 18 years old.
Mm.
All right. This marks 42 years I've been doing this.
Wow.
Yeah, 42 years. Back when I first started, there was no internet.
Mm-mm.
There was
Al
no.
Gore had not invented it yet.
No, he had not. He had not. And the Book of Face was just a pipe dream and all of these things. There was nothing there. So we had to kind of rely on these tactics, which meant doing things like getting together and sitting down and talking and picking up the phone. And we didn't have the megla malls at that point. So people were coming to downtown Wheaton or downtown whatever, small town, to buy their shoes, to get their cakes, to buy their clothes, to do all this other stuff. I mean, you had Kmart, and a little bit of mall stuff, but not like they are now. So it really was all built around relationships. And so what everybody's trying to do in the big world is circumvent the relationship side of things. They want to automate. I mean, giving a speech in a couple of weeks, and it's on AI and MA. And AI is artificial intelligence, and MA is marketing automation. One of the things that I've learned is that, there are people out there that are really good readers. and that, maybe $1,500 on an online course and 3 books, and now they are a marketing expert after they were doing financial planning, 3 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
That happens all the time. I mean, it's
Right.
just all of a sudden I'm a marketing expert. Look at me, watch my stuff, do this, do that. When in reality, what they're really good is parroting what they've heard, but they're not great at critical thinking new
Mm-hmm.
things, you know? So what I've done in the course of this time is always incorporate the basics. Where, that's the first thing I look at is I go and look and say, okay, with this perfect avatar, what are the basic things that they're not doing, and what bright, shiny objects have they latched themselves to that are costing them way too much time, way
Mm-hmm.
too much money, and not getting them results?
Mm-hmm.
9 times out of 10, I find that the first thing I have to do is remove things before I inject things.
Right.
And that's where the difference between somebody who comes in who has not been in this space for a long time, the first thing you're gonna do, is you just need to stop, do this.
Mm-hmm.
Just do more of this and don't worry about it. Just keep doing, just do this, do more of what I do well,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll be successful. When in reality, it's basically just putting perfume on a pig, because what they're doing is
Mm-hmm.
they're shooting themselves in the foot by
Mm-hmm.
doing something that they should not be doing
Right.
first, So that really becomes the point of, you understand your avatar. You look at that customer and say, what can I do for them?
Mm-hmm.
And then the bottom line is you got to figure out, and this is the hardest part of it, is, am I a good fit for them? And be honest with yourself.
Mm-hmm. Right. Because there are definitely times where that answer is no.
Right. And you have to be willing to be the one to say no.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're a good fit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I can't help you.
Right.
I know your money is green and you have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of it and you want to throw it at me, but I got to say no.
Mm-hmm.
The minute you start saying yes to those kind of things,
Mm-hmm.
what you're going to do is then get into a spiral of, you're going to keep trying to please something that cannot be pleased.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to try to fix something that cannot be fixed. That maybe can be, but you're not the right fit for
Right.
it. So the key thing is, you have to look for, number one, know who the perfect person is. Number two, understand the problem really well. And then number three, you have to say, can I be successful?
Mm-hmm.
Can I be successful at that? And you've got to be, and this is where you got to be honest with yourself. This is where masterminds are good. This is where
Mm-hmm.
coaches are good. You have to ask those questions, and you have to get somebody who can see the forest for the trees
Mm-hmm.
to answer it with and for you. And so if the answer is not an astounding yes, then don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's essentially all it boils down to. If you can help a client be successful, then you will be in a great place, because they will refer you to other
Mm-hmm.
people. And here's one of the tricks that I've discovered that really works well for me. And that it's really simple. And I've been in business for 42 years. I've done everything. I've done the contracts. I've done the retainers. I've done, you name it, anything you could possibly
Mm-hmm.
imagine I've done. But right now, the way I work is I walk into somebody and I say, look, here's the bottom line. I'm going to work with you. This is after I've gone through that litmus test.
Right.
And
Made sure that it's the good fit, all that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
I
that you
tell
can
them,
help them. Mm-hmm.
right. I tell them right up front, I say, here's the deal. I'm going to work with you. I'm asking you to commit to me for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take at least that long to determine, to
Right.
get things. I mean, it's one
Mm-hmm.
is, first, get them to stop doing what they're doing. Number two, develop a plan. Number three, start implementing the plan.
Mm-hmm.
It's just going to take that long to make things happen.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the deal. I'm going to charge you month to month. If you're happy with what I do, then you pay the bill at the end of the month.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to bill you again. And if you're happy with what I do, you pay the
Mm-hmm.
bill at the end of the month. I'm going to do it again. And we get to that third month. If you want me to continue, I'll bill you again. If
Mm-hmm.
you don't want me to continue, we'll stop.
Mm-hmm.
If at any time you're dissatisfied with what I've done and you've paid me, I'll give you that last check back.
Mm-hmm.
No questions asked. You
Mm-hmm.
tell me I'm unhappy, here's your money back. To this day, because I've followed all of those steps, I've not had a single person never pay a bill, and they all keep coming back and saying, keep billing me, keep billing
Right.
me, keep billing me. What happens with the other, a lot of times people will come in and do these year-long contracts or quarterly retainers. And the first question I get asked when I go into a lot of these companies is, they pulled this document out, it's about this thick, and they say, can you tell me what I'm getting for my money?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because they clearly don't understand it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time, what they're trying to do is justify their existence,
Mm-hmm.
so they'll tell you what you want to hear. They'll
Mm-hmm.
work in your echo chamber.
Right.
They'll basically say, hey, let me open up your Google Analytics and show you how much traffic you have. And this is a classic example. One company, 3,000 hits a month.
Right.
And
then of course the next question should be, and?
Right. Well, and then, then all of a sudden I come in and the traffic drops down to 2,000. They say, well, you're not doing a great job.
Yeah. What the heck?
And I go and I show them, I say, okay, well, here's why. The reason is because those 3,000 hits that you're getting per month, okay, the amount of people spending 10 seconds or less on your website is 2,800. Okay. The amount of people spending any time digging into your website and actually doing something and being active and potentially giving you money is 200. All right. What we've done is we've stopped paying for all those things that are attracting those 2,800 people. And the traffic has gone down to 2,000. All right. But the number of people spending time on your site has now gone up to 500. So we've actually, doubled, 250%. We double in half the amount of people that are interested in your business by decreasing the amount that you're spending on just driving a bunch of tire kickers to your website.
Right.
And then I asked them flat out, have you seen the increase in sales? And it's like, well,
yeah,
I think so.
Track that. We need to track that too.
Well, that's the point. Yeah. But the bottom line is once they, but the other companies are going to show them just, hey, look at the amount of traffic you got.
Right.
Look, you got 3,000 people coming here. Doesn't matter that 2,800 of those 3,000 people never look at anything past, 10 seconds.
Right.
So,
and I like month to month. I do month to month also. And, and of course we're not just saying, okay, for this, you're going to pay us $1,000. I mean, I tell them what I'm doing. I will do this and this and this and this, because nobody wants to be taken advantage of. We don't, you don't want to say, okay, for example, I do social media posting. And so, I tell them I do X number per week. And, which that's just good for everybody. They're not coming back to me saying, well, we thought you do 5 times that much. Or worse, we're only going to give you content to do half.
Right.
And so it's, you want to explain those things. And then if they say, okay, we want to double that, then we have the discussion about increasing the fee. And is it a one-time thing because you've got a special event? Sure. Then, and all these things. And, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of the long retainers also, unless it is something that I know. So like say a website, that's going to take 3 months to develop.
Right.
Okay. That's very different. But for a service like you and I provide, yeah, I mean, once a month is great. And, it's funny because
I'll even do the same thing with a website though, because herein lies the problem is I can quote a website and they say it's going to take 3 months to do this. I'm going to break it out into 3-month chunks. And I'm going to say, okay, the first month you are going to pay me for no matter what, because I'm going to sit here and I'm going to design.
That's and because that's the bulk of the work.
Right. And you're going to pay me, period. Okay. The second month is when you're going to have to get me content. We're going to have to work together and figure it out.
Right.
And if you don't get me what I need, then I'm stopping at that point, so I still take it at that, that way of doing things, because if they can't live up to their end of the bargain, we're not going to end up with success.
Right.
That's another thing of doing that upfront, evaluation of a client is, can I trust the client to live up to their end of the ball?
Right. Right. And that's one of the trickiest things, because, as in our position, we want the money. Let's be honest. I have these bills that I have to pay. But if they're not going to see this as a partnership, which it really should be, then it's not going to work. If I tell them, okay, I need you to provide me with posts for every single day. But I can tell that they're going to say, well, I'm only going to send you once a week. Okay, then I decide I'm either going to adjust or say no, and if I tell them, okay, we're only doing once a week, but that then comes back to, am I even going to think once a week? And, we're talking about, posting on social media, but, if I'm once a week is probably not going to be satisfactory. So then that might be the point where I say, sorry, this isn't for us.
Hmm.
And so it's interesting because I think so many people don't remember that, a good portion of this is the upfront work. It is the determining, is this a good fit? Figuring all these things out. I was talking to somebody one time who was telling me they had hired somebody, and they were in Denver. They hired a firm in New York. Nobody had any communication then after that.
Hmm.
And she's saying, I just don't like their posts that they're doing for my business. Okay. So I looked, well, she was a baker.
Hmm.
And they, when I said, so what don't you like? And she said, well, look, they did all this stuff about wedding cakes. She said, we don't do wedding cakes. And I said, did you tell them that? Oh, no, we don't communicate with them. And then, there was another one where they posted, like I said, they're in Denver. They posted about the big snowstorms. Well, it hadn't snowed in Denver, and so that's part of that ongoing,
Hmm.
and I told her, I said, you need to get out of this. If you're not going to have communication with these folks and they're not going to understand your business,
Right.
then I said, it's harming you because you're getting calls for wedding cakes and you're having to turn them away. And then people are like, well, why should I want you to do anything? That
Right.
comes back to that whole trust thing, and so when you're in an arrangement with somebody, it is very much, I told somebody yesterday, one of my clients said, hey, this was great. I like that you did that. My response to her was one word: teamwork.
Right.
She had sent me the content that then made the great post,
Right.
and that is really what it all comes down to, is how are you going to work all those details out?
Well, and this is a true story, and I give speeches to C-level people all the time because I speak at like Vistage and
Hmm.
conferences and things of this nature, and it gets a little adversarial
Hmm.
sometimes because
Right.
they've been programmed
Hmm.
a certain way.
Hmm.
Even I got a brand new client. The new client came to me, says, I want to hire you to do SEO. And I said, why do you want to do SEO? He says,
Hmm.
well, I went to this webinar and they told me about all the benefits of doing SEO
Hmm.
for B2B. And I go, okay, well, I'm here
And
and
hmm.
I'm here to tell you that ain't going to work. He
Hmm.
goes, what do you mean it ain't going to work? I said, ain't going to work. Why isn't it going to work? Well, it's
Hmm.
pretty straightforward. When you do SEO for B2B, you cannot get detailed enough and there's not enough searches to make SEO worth your while.
Hmm.
I mean, you sell a 7/8 inch 3/4 screw, all right? And when somebody types that in, how do you differentiate between yours, which is outsourced to this other company that
Hmm.
is nickel plated and all these other things? Nobody's going to go in and say, I need this outsourced nickel
Right.
plated 7/8 inch screw
Yeah,
that's
that's
going to
that's
cost me less
too
than 53
detailed.
cents. Nobody's going to get that detail. And so, but if you just want to say I sell screws, now you're going head to head with every hardware chain in
Right.
the world. And now you can't win that battle because
Mm-mm.
you don't have enough money to throw at it
Mhm.
and you can't get detailed enough to be able to get the people there. How about if you say you write an article about what happens when your 7/8 inch screw breaks?
Mhm.
What do you do
Right.
and how you fix it?
Where do you replace it?
Right. So, he goes, well, yeah, I
Mhm.
could do that, but that's a lot of work. Well, yeah.
Mhm.
But if you want to reach the people with
Mhm.
broken 7/8 inch
Mhm.
screws, that's how you do it.
Right.
And
And
then
he's
it took,
probably had a conversation exactly like that with somebody
right,
at least once.
right. And that's the whole thing. So a
Mhm.
lot of this is untraining people what other
Mhm.
people are teaching them is wrong.
Right.
And one guy at one of the speeches that I gave, and this was rude of me, but I was just at one of those points where, I'm just going to tell it like it is.
Mhm.
And he said, I got done with this whole presentation of why you cannot outsource relationships. On LinkedIn, you can go on LinkedIn, you can connect with everybody you want, but if somebody wishes you a happy birthday, go back and just say thanks.
Mhm.
It's not that hard. You even have a button that just says thanks.
Right.
So the end result with it is you cannot outsource relationships.
Mhm.
If you want to win in business, you got to remember a lot of people think it's B2B, business to
Mhm.
business, but that's why I call it H2H. It's
Mhm.
human to human. No company has ever bought anything
Mhm.
unless they've set up an automatic payment on a credit card.
Right. But a
And the bottom,
person still was part of that process.
right, somebody had to enter the
Mhm.
PO. Somebody had to enter the credit card. And the bottom line is in B2B, you don't want to get fired.
Mhm.
So everything you're doing is to stay in your job, maybe get promoted, not get fired. That's the
Mhm.
mentality behind it. So the CEO says to me after I finish this whole thing, I said, you cannot outsource relationships because you're dealing with people.
Mhm.
And he said to me, I ain't got time for all that. I'm just so busy. I mean, I'm a CEO, I hire people to do that stuff. And, they take care of all my social media for me and I don't have to worry about a thing. And I just looked at them straight in the eye and say, so do you outsource taking your wife to dinner too?
Well,
A harumph. And of course, he's very angry. But everybody else in the room just went, whoa, did he really say that? Now, I will never sell that man.
No.
I know that.
Yeah, he is not a person you want to work with. You knew that within 5 seconds of his conversation.
I knew within 5 seconds because he has already made his mind up that it will not work.
Yeah.
But what I did is I used him to let the other people in the room know two things. Number one, you cannot outsource relationships, and B, I'm going to tell you the truth. And out of that group of people, there was somebody who actually did work with me because of what I said.
Right. Yeah.
So sometimes you got to take chances. That's all I'm saying.
Right. And yeah, it comes back to, we are eliminating people that, it's just not going to work. And that is hard, especially when we have bills to pay. And whether you're just starting out in business or you've been doing this a long time, you still have bills to pay. Doesn't matter what you're doing. You have bills to pay. And so you're thinking, I can probably work with them. I mean, one of the most telling features in the world is if your caller ID pops up with their name, are you going to answer?
Right.
Now I'm not talking about midnight or, anything like that. And now actually for those, I really am going to answer because that's probably an emergency. But yeah, I mean, if your first thought is, then, if you're in that agreement, get out of it as fast as you can. Because I'll tell you what, if you're saying, they're saying also. And that's just not going to be good for anything. It's exactly what we were saying at the start. It's that trust. Are you going to trust the person that says, well, the meat's okay? I mean, it's like that commercial, the doctor's okay, just okay.
Guess who got reinstated?
Right, almost. And so is that, and let's be honest, do we want to be the type of service provider that if somebody says, what is it like to work with Brian? Somebody says, well, he's okay. No, we want to be, he is a rock star and you can't hire him because he has no time because he's working with me. But
and that's very true.
Yeah. We want to be the person and it is going to be making some hard decisions. It's going to be the eliminating people. Maybe you're saying, okay, well, I'm not going to deal with, people that are, I deal with people in a specific age demographic because of what I do. So it's saying, you know what? For me, communicating to 20-year-olds is just not, and that's okay. But if somebody says, what do you mean you don't deal, okay, they're just not my market. They're not going to buy what my clients are selling. Right. So why waste my time with them?
No, I agree. And so that, when we sit down and kind of go full circle with this whole thing, social media building trust. I mean, I just went back and redid my website. And this is the very first thing I did on January 1st when everybody's off. And I took the day, actually I started beforehand, but I just went through the website and said, okay, does this match who I am, the client I want, what I provide, the price range, and the services that I want to sell this year? And if it doesn't, delete it and rewrite it. And that's exactly what I did. So make sure that you go through your own marketing material and sit here and say, number one, does it instill trust? Number two, does it talk to that perfect avatar? And number three, does it really get across the value that I can bring to those people without being all salesy in your face, weeing all over yourself?
Right. And to come back full circle, I think that is probably one of the biggest problems that we're still seeing with Facebook is people are still buy from me. I'm going to stop and read a post that's got a great headline, a great image, and great content. If it sells me something, that's great, but I'm not going to go there, which, now we have this whole thing with cookies where, I've been off in Mr. Google and I've been looking at something and then I go to Facebook and whoop, there goes an ad for it. And then I'm like, nope, hide. Or I do it on purpose because then I don't have to search as hard. It's going to come up in Facebook. But, it comes back to, we've said it a couple times, relationship.
Right.
We have to, and even if it's the big box stores, I mean, we pick Walmart over Best Buy, over this, over that, for a variety of reasons, but somewhere in there is they treated me nice, they treated me poorly.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's about relationships. And if that's on Facebook, it really does need to be on LinkedIn. Hello, needs to be on LinkedIn. Or maybe it's that you've gone back to direct mail. I love
Right.
direct mail. Nobody gets direct mail anymore, so they stand out. But it's got to be yours.
Right.
I know money mailers do things, but send your own piece.
Right.
And for heaven's sakes, folks, no matter what, you have to have your own website. This is
Mm-hmm.
not, hey, I'm going to tag on to somebody else's.
Agreed. 100% on every single point.
See, that's why we get along.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I cannot wait to have you on again when you have your new book out, because
Thank you.
it's going to be fabulous. And it's just great content. But until then, how do people find you and connect with you online?
The
Yeah.
easiest way is just spell my name into the Google machine.
Yes, Mr. Google.
That's right. It's BrianBasilico. Just search Brian Basilico. You'll find me on social media. You'll find my websites. You'll find everything about me. And that way, if you want to connect up with me, you connect up with me the way you're most comfortable.
Right. Right. And wouldn't it be fun if we got some new people in our mastermind group? That'd be fun.
That would be awesome. Yes.
Yeah. And it really is, I've said, Brian is my friend. Brian is a mentor, trusted advisor, all those things. Mentor groups, whether it's this one or another one, something
Yes.
you need to be doing, especially if you're a sole proprietor, because we sit here in these rooms all by ourselves. We talk to the cat. The cat doesn't talk much.
Mhm.
And so it's very important that we have someone that we can have that honest conversation with, who might say, you're going down the wrong way. No, don't do that. Or say, oh my
Absolutely.
God, this is great. Keep up with this. That's what those type of relationships are for. And it's back to that relationship and trust.
Mhm.
That's what Ugg said to Gug back in caveman days. It was all about trust. Hasn't changed. And so your
Yep.
resolution, and not if you choose to accept, your resolution for the year is trust, build relationships, do all of those things, and your business will be successful, which is the best we can hope for.
Amen, sister. Preach it. Preach it.
Yeah. Woo, woo. Well, I am Deb Creer. As always, I've been having an absolutely wonderful time with Brian Basilico. Can't have had a better way to start the year. Can't wait to talk about your new book. And until next time, everyone have a great day.
Tune in for our next program for even more trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. The Business Power Hour, hosted by Deb Creer, is proud to be part of the C-Suite Network.